If you're watching this, I'm guessing your periods are not just painful, but once a month, they come in and completely hijack your life. Maybe people have told you it's just cramps, so take ibuprofen, Midol, get a heating pad, and just wait it out. But as a physician, I'm here to tell you that even if painful periods are common for you, it's not normal. I wonder if just for a second you think about what it would be like to actually experience a pain-free menstrual cycle. Like really consider what would that do for you to break out of this monthly cycle of suffering. Today I'm going to share with you 5 evidence-based ways to take your life back when that time of the month comes around, including one way that literally changes the way your brain processes pain during your period. Hi, I'm Dr. Alannah, and as a physician and hypnotist specializing in chronic pain, I look at pain from both biological and subconscious intent. And in this video, obviously, we're going to be talking about how to alleviate painful periods. Before I dive into why periods are painful in the first place, or give you some really great modalities to help you fix the pain, I hope that you will subscribe to my channel and also just know this information is for educational purposes and it is not a substitute for more individualized medical care. Other thing I want to share before we get started is this topic is deeply personal for me because I've lived with painful period for years, basically since my first period at 11 years old. I've experienced cramping that led to nausea, vomiting every month, having to be taken out of school 2 days out of the month. Um, One time, actually, in 7th grade, my period started during school, and I immediately got a migraine headache that led me to have no vision, and I actually fainted. I think multiple times in my life, I've fainted during my period. So I completely understand the pain and the suffering that takes place during this cycle of womanhood, let's call it. And this actually followed me through medical school. So imagine that, even as a medical student and as a doctor afterwards, with having all of this medical knowledge, but I was still in pain. And it wasn't until I combined my clinical knowledge with what I know about the subconscious that things actually started to change for me. Okay, so first, let's talk about something that maybe a lot of us were never taught, or even if we were taught it, it just like didn't seem to connect for us. But the first thing we need to understand is that your uterus is a muscle. Yeah, your uterus is a muscle. It's made of thick, smooth muscle tissue. And it's a very powerful muscle at that because this is the muscle that is responsible for birthing a baby. And every month it has a job to contract so that it can help shed its lining, which we see as menstrual bleeding. And whenever a muscle contracts in the body strongly, especially if blood flow is briefly reduced during that contraction, it's going to lead to pain or discomfort. So just think about the last time you had a Charlie horse in your foot or um, a cramp in your leg. It's painful, right? And your uterus cramping works in a similar way. And now let's get more specific to women's health. So during your period, your body releases chemicals called prostaglandins. And these chemicals actually signal to your uterus that it's time to contract. The higher your prostaglandin levels, the stronger your contractions could be. And stronger contractions means more squeezing, temporary blood reduced to the muscle, more stimulation of pain receptors. And that's what creates the period cramps that we all experience. And if you're watching this, I'm sure you're in desperate need to find relief from them. And for some women, prostaglandin levels are actually higher, which means that they might actually experience even more intense cramps. There's also inflammation involved, and Menstruation is an inflammatory process, and inflammation makes nerves more sensitive and can actually amplify pain signals that way. Not only that, but if someone has additional conditions like endometriosis, where uterine like tissue is actually growing outside of the uterus, that tissue also responds to hormonal changes and can trigger inflammation in places that it shouldn't, which can actually create more irritation to nearby nerves and create deeper, more persistent pain. So, period pain or dysmenorrhea is typically a combination of strong uterine muscle contractions, chemical signaling through prostaglandins, inflammation, and in some cases, underlying conditions like endometriosis or fibroids. Mild discomfort during periods can be common, but pain that causes you to miss work, miss school, vomit, faint, feel completely incapacitated is not something that should be dismissed. Your pain always deserves your attention. Now that we understand why periods hurt, let's talk about 5 evidence-based modalities that can help you reduce your menstrual pain. And I'm not just going to share random wellness tips. I'm going to tell you things that there's actually research for. And also, most of these things I do myself. And I'll share with you how I incorporate them into my monthly menstrual wellness routine, we'll call it. So the first thing is TENS machine, transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. This is one of the most studied non-drug treatments for menstrual pain. Studies support that high frequency TENS significantly reduces menstrual pain compared to placebo. It works by stimulating sensory nerves, which can block pain signals before they reach the brain, sometimes called the gate control theory of pain. Remember this idea of neural gate control? I'm going to give you something at the end of this that connects to this and will actually help you feel relief for your pain right now. So that's coming at the end. Let's get back into this. It also stimulates endorphins. So with the TENS machine, this is what we call neuromodulation. For best results, it's best to place the pads on your lower abdomen or your lower back, wherever you're feeling the most pain. You start with the setting at 0, and then you slowly increase until you feel a noticeable tingling sensation. It should be strong, but definitely not painful. And a lot of times, users feel relief within 20 to 30 minutes of a TENS session. I actually love TENS sessions in the day or so before my period when I'm starting to get those little tickles of pre-period cramps. This is when I'll usually pull out my TENS machine for a session. And for me, this will completely knock those things out. Next is stretching. Now, there are randomized control studies that show yoga and structured stretching programs significantly reduce menstrual pain after consistent practice. One study in the Journal of Pediatric and Adolescent Gynecology showed notable pain reduction in women practicing yoga over several weeks. And now that we understand the uterus as a muscle, it makes sense why stretching would help to relax this muscle. The other thing about stretching is it allows you to deal with the whole pelvic environment. You can stretch out your hips, pelvic floor, lower back. When those muscles are tight, they add to your experience of discomfort. Stretching also improves circulation to those areas and reduces tension. where it matters. Some really great poses or stretches to try are cobra, cat cow, and even child's pose can be really nice. The third thing that I'm sharing is hypnosis, of course. And let's just zoom out a little bit to the nervous system because pain isn't only about your muscles. The brain also plays a role in this as well. And this is where I come in as a hypnotist because I help clients experience their first pain free menstrual cycle in years by using their own guided, focused attention. Functional MRI studies, including research published in anesthesiology, shows hypnosis changes activity in the pain processing regions of the brain, including the anterior cingulate cortex, which is primarily responsible for the emotional and affective experience of pain. So, how unpleasant or bothersome pain can feel. So, for women who experience anticipatory dread every month, hypnosis can help calm the nervous system before their pain cycles begin. Not only that, but there was also a randomized control study looking at women with endometriosis that showed hypnosis significantly reduced their pain levels. And we already have strong data showing hypnosis changes how the brain processes pain signals. So when you put those two things together, you can start to understand that hypnosis is not about pretending the pain isn't there. It's about actually changing how your nervous system works. And this is actually why, of course, I love practicing hypnosis because our minds are so powerful, you guys. So, so powerful. And in a single session, you can create amazing, amazing transformation and change. It's incredible. I think this is the fourth thing. The fourth thing to help with your period pain is omega 3 fatty acids. Now, this one is an interesting one that I've actually never tried myself, but I'm looking forward to incorporating it into my routine next month and seeing how it goes. With omega 3 fatty acids, we're moving upstream into inflammation. So, omega 3s are actually one of the most studied natural interventions for dysmenorrhea. There's been several randomized trials that showed fish oil supplementation specifically reduced menstrual pain severity. And let's go over the mechanism of how and why this happens. So, remember prostaglandins, that chemical that we talked about a little bit earlier, and we said that it tells your uterus to contract. Well, prostaglandins are made from omega 6 fatty acids. Omega 3s compete in that pathway, and they lead to the production of less inflammatory prostaglandins. So with omega so by supplementing your by supplementing your diet with omega 3 fatty acids, you're not just masking the pain, you're actually shifting your own internal inflammatory signals. And the last thing I'll share is red light. Red light therapy, photobiomodulation. It's newer, but very promising. I absolutely love my red light panel too. Small clinical trials published in journals show that reductions in menstrual pain when lower level laser therapy is applied to the lower abdomen appears to reduce inflammatory mediators and improve cellular energy production in tissues. So the research base for red light is not as large as 10s or even omega 3s, but the early data is really encouraging. And like I said before, just in my own experience using a red light panel, I really recommend it. I don't know if you guys' periods work like mine does in this way, but sometimes the day before my period starts, I'll get a little bit crampy. So I know for sure it's coming tomorrow, it's going to start. And because of that, I'll just, in anticipation, I'll use a pad. The next day it'll actually start, I'll feel it starting. But because I already have a pad, I'm not in a rush to run off to the restroom. But the moment I go to the bathroom and actually see for myself that it's actually started, my cramps will go from a very tolerable 3 out of 10 to what I like to call like full blown revenge mode. And I love to use my red light panel at that exact moment when my uterus is in its revenge mode level. And 30 minutes in front of my panel is like a complete anecdote for me. So, so those are the 5 really great modalities to help soothe your discomfort when that time of the month comes around. But here's what I want you to take away from this. Every month, every month your uterus is just doing a job. It's contracting, and sometimes that can lead to you experiencing some pain, some discomfort. But luckily, what a time to be alive. There are so many modalities available to help you transmute that pain so you don't only have to depend on medication or a heating pad. There's a lot more options that we have today. We covered a spectrum of interventions. We talked about biological tools like TENS, red light, omega 3s. We also mentioned stretching. And we also mentioned subconscious interventions like hypnosis, which target neural pathways where the brain actually perceives and amplifies that pain signal. So if any of this resonated with you, please subscribe to my channel. I also told you guys to remember what we spoke about earlier, the neural gate. I actually created something specifically for you to help you begin working with your mind to reduce your pain. It's called the Neural Gate Reset. It's a 10-minute guided audio experience designed to help calm pain signals and lower your sensitivity in real time. You can download it on my website, www.dralannahthehypnotist.com. I'll put a link in the description box below. And if you're someone who's looking for deeper support during that time of the month, I also host monthly group chronic pain hypnosis sessions where we work directly with the mind body connection to eliminate pain for my clients completely. It's really, really amazing. So, also just know you're not alone. I shared my story. There's so many people who experience pain once a month. But consider this: the power to experience pain free bleeding is not outside of you, the power is in you. The I'm Dr. Alannah the hypnotist, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.